live at the comedy show.
None of you are as funny as Jerry Seinfeld.
How's everybody doing? I'm Michael Brooks. This is the Michael Brooks Show. We're broadcasting live from the Bell House, where left is best, as it is everywhere else, with super producer Matt Leck. How you doing, Matt?
I'm very well, thank you, Michael.
Always keeping that energy. Can we have a little bit more music for Chief Economist David Griscom?
If a woman is an 8 and you have her go number 1 on you, does that make her
All right,
sad?
guys.
It makes her a 9.
That's a sexist, Michael.
Bring it. Is Richard Wolff here tonight? He said, oh, okay. Richard Wolff's representative says he's not here tonight. He did say, he texted me before the show, and he said, I hope that little prick isn't wearing a leather jacket. He said, what a fucking show off.
I'm pretty fearless these days.
You're constantly fearless. You're fearless in realms where you should have fear. Alona's going to talk about that. It's a Russian thing. Doesn't that feels like a Russian word, actually? Like that would translate. Like
fear?
No, like you no fear. Where should fear have? Mwah. That was for you. So we wanted to start, first of all, by just thanking all of you for being here. If I convey how much it means to me, I will tear up. And then there will be some type of alt-right mixed video of like fucking mega cuck cries at Ode show. They'll like bed man in the mirror underneath it. So what we're gonna do, but seriously, thank you. Thank you. There's a lot of people here tonight that mean a lot to me, you know, from my life and family, and then each and every one of you. Thank you, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing, and Lula Livre. Woo! But before we start bringing our amazing guests up on stage, and before David and Matt move to their love seat, which I'm looking forward to seeing.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I know. I think a lot of people are. How great is my suit? No, I'm just kidding. Fake news. That's devil news. We're going to start by telling you, I'm going to go last because I still haven't decided mine because I'm so pure, what we would do, and we're going to ask this to everybody that comes up tonight, but we're starting with David Griscom. David, if you were to go right wing, where the money's a lot more plentiful, the sponsorship opportunities are endless, and literally all you would need to do, like I could put on, I'm even dressed for it. I could put on this suit, get in a car, and go to Fox and just be like, that's not sexist. Boom, that's my job. So, what are you talking about? So David, if you were on the right, what would your scam be?
Well, you know, I certainly definitely want to tap into that sweet, sweet vitamin money.
Fuck yeah.
But you know, the problem is, and you see all these people, these amateurs like Alex Jones and Ben Shapiro,
Right.
they're hawking.
Ben Shapiro does vitamins?
Yeah, he does brain pills too, yeah. They're hawking their stuff, but they forget the most important aspect of brain pills.
Yes,
You
which is-
can't swallow brain pills with government water that has fluoride, chemicals.
Thank you very much.
So I'm going to be putting out these brain pills, and they're going to be followed with a nice, cool glass of raw water. I'm talking probiotics,
Raw water.
Unregulated.
unregulated, no fluoride, a couple parasites. They make you stronger. That's how you fight.
That's Darwin.
That's brilliant. So what is it called? Do you have a name, potentially?
I don't have a name, but I know where I'm going to get it from.
How about Rodder?
All right. Super producer Matt Leck, you've finally gotten sick of producing for 1.5 neurotic Jews. and you decide you want to cash out, you want to make some actual money. What's the play?
So people might know I'm from North Dakota, so I'm familiar with the demographic I want to be targeting here. And I was very inspired by Ben Shapiro at the March for Life,
I think he inspired a lot of people.
reading a mid-roll advertisement for Quip toothbrushes in the middle of his speech. So what I'm going to be is a chaperone. I'm going to sort of travel guide for pro-life field trips.
Fuck you, Matt. Now I need to improve mine significantly. That's really funny. So you're gonna like teach them how to harass Native Americans properly?
Exactly. I'm going to.
It's like no, blah 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 blah.
I'm going to escort them close to Black Israelites, but give them no sort of cultural understanding of what that means.
Like this is Obama's cousin. Well, I'm still thinking of it. I'm going to reserve my right to clarify those over the course of the show, and I mean this figuratively because this will be broadcast later. But I don't know, maybe take some papers out on Tucker Carlson because I really think I could do that gig. You know, I just think like you can't say anything anymore. it just does itself. I mean, yeah, immigration can't say anything anymore. Speaking of not being able to say anything anymore, guys, we have done a little bit of digging for this show, a little bit of original reporting. Somebody deep inside the, what do we call it? Like the intellectual jerk-sphere?
The jerk encirclement.
The jerk encirclement. They've actually leaked us audios. You know how Sam Harris does meditation, guided meditations, right? Boo. That's my
Hey,
mindfulness.
they're good. They're good.
You can get the fuck off this stage. I think his meditation is actually good, sir. So Sam Harris does a meditation, which Griscom does every day before showtime to soothe his nerves. And it's actually really, I mean, this is the truth. I actually literally share a meditation teacher with Sam Harris, which is pretty ironic. And he's a much better person than Sam Harris. Joseph Goldstein is a fucking massive hottie. And so, but what we have discovered not only is it's weird because we've always understood that Sam Harris's politics and his meditation, like when people will defend him, they'll say like, well, I mean, come on, I understand that he talks about nuking Muslims, but you know, he does really good relaxation tapes. And this leaked audio is so bizarre because first of all, there's a whole series of them. You're going to be hearing from a number of prominent IDW figures guiding you through meditation. We have about 5 of these. And this is the first one with Sam Harris, and this is so bizarre because it's mindfulness, but it sounds like all of the other stuff that you might expect to hear from Sam Harris. First tech problem.
Hi, this is Sam Harris, and this is the first in a series, a new collaboration of guided meditations, mindfulness free from the politically correct thought police that are polluting and distorting how Buddhist meditation, secular meditation is thought and taught about in public spaces. We're going to get to the instructions in a second, but first, some housekeeping. Now, as you know, the usual suspects on the left have been totally taking me out of context in my last meditation series when I said that people should follow their breath and visualize what it would be like if the Muslims had a giant laser beam and pointed it at us versus if we had a giant laser beam and pointed it at the Muslims. This was a mindfulness-aided thought experiment exercise meant to illustrate the dangers of a belief system. Predictably, the left, Glenn Greenwald, Ezra Klein, Reza Aslan, that guy that used to be an extra in Girls, and others took me violently out of context, the moral equivalent of Himmler, Hitler, Gaddafi, and the KKK. So that's what we're dealing with here. And in this series, I want to introduce a series of people who will teach you mindfulness in a way that isn't codified and rigidly structured, meant to meet the demands of the left, and also help you deal with the unique anxieties of the modern world, such as how to deal with your trust fund, how do you best invest Golden Girls money, or what to do when a mentally ill, deranged comedian who you did a podcast with on your favorite Roidhead's YouTube show is now threatening to kick your ass. These are all common problems that we can all relate to. So I hope that these guided meditations will help you wake up along the way.
I'm sorry that was so accurate. It's boring. That is going to be a theme of the evening. But first, guys, you're going to scoot down a little bit. And we are going to bring out, of course, Matt and David will be up here the whole time, providing insight, analysis, and beer. Joining us now is one of the best journalists in the game. She's a friend of mine. She's brilliant. She's TMBS crew. You've seen her on Huffington Post. You've seen her on Salon.com. You see her regularly on MSNBC. And you know that she has incredible taste in music, which we're going to bring her up to. It was a very strong temptation to do Russian national anthem, but I didn't. We went with something else. Alona Minkowski is here.
Up in here, that's to bring it to you, cowards, and it's gonna be quick, alright? Well, you made the finish double fuck, suck my dick, and all of them will catch you run with, get done with, done quick. How the fuck you know about the dog or some bum shit? It would've done quick, now one shit, all of us are dumb shit, ain't that some shit? It needs to remind me of a strip club. Every time we come around, it's like, what? Gotta get my dick sucked. And I don't know who the fuck you think you talking to, but not him, I spit, so watch what you do, and you will find yourself very next to someone else. And we all put you
Loved yourself, but that couldn't have been the issue. Okay.
I don't know the
Hello.
DMX lyrics. I only know Dipset.
I know too many, weirdly. My poor mother, who's in the audience.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mrs. Minkowski.
No. She, the one perk of having an immigrant parent is that they don't understand the lyrics of the music you're listening to when you're a kid. so I read in 6th grade, just listened to all DMX all the time. My mom had no idea what was going on. I was just barking a lot.
I know,
She didn't
okay.
get it.
So you can't. So I know, and first of all, thank you for doing an Instagram video with me where you barked the DMX lyrics. But could you give them just a little dose?
Oh my God.
They'll love you forever. They already do.
This is so
It's just
embarrassing.
I'll follow up as soon. All right. Thank you. Alona, if you were to go right wing,
Oh, God.
what would your scam be?
Okay, so I have to admit I didn't hear what the other scams were.
Okay, so Matt is a chaperone for pro-life protesting high school students. And
I like
Griscom has realized the really horrifying truth that it's not enough to swallow your brain pills if the government still controls your water. So he's pitching some type of untreated water system.
Oh my goodness.
Fresh from the source.
Fresh from the
See,
source.
I feel like you guys are doing too much work because I was just like, listen, Kickstarter is all the rage these days.
Right.
People are willing to throw their money at anything or any kind of
Anything.
crowdfunding. It doesn't have to be Kickstarter. And so,
Yeah, sure, crowdfunding,
say
right.
you live on the border and you need a wall, you need a bigger fence around your house. Or you live across the street from an abortion clinic where they're killing babies and you need a bigger fence. And people are just going to donate and pour as much money as, as they can in there.
You know what I love about that?
And you
is
just get to
that-
walk away.
So those are all, walk away. What I love about that is Matt and David, I think, nailed it. And we'll hear some other good ones. But I like that you just went to the essence of you take stupid people and then you take their money. you just
Find
simplified
an
the
issue
process.
that they
You're
want to
like,
give money to.
fucking idiots, fences, thing they're afraid of, money. Yeah,
much.
you're going into business reporting. I can tell.
Yeah, can you tell?
I can tell. We got to talk about the slaughter that has actually been happening in the press. We just had, 150 people laid off from Vice today?
It was something. Let
250.
me pull up this tweet because I
Not
actually
maybe
had some
woo,
figures.
fuck Vice, but not the people who lost those jobs.
Of course not.
Yeah. And BuzzFeed laid off a bunch of people.
All
Woo!
right,
No,
I
just
have
kidding.
this. This is actually from my
I'm just being an asshole.
my former colleague at HuffPost said journalism layoffs in just the past month, 20 at HuffPost, and that's only in like the news department.
Right.
250 at BuzzFeed, 250 at Vice, 400 at Gannett, and 450 at McClatchy, which at the moment those are like buyouts that are going on.
Right.
You would've
That is a good observation. So what
I mean, Shane Smith bought a
was
big
it?
house.
What did you say?
Shane Smith bought a really big house in the past couple of years.
Yeah, yeah. So all
It's
is
good for
well.
some in the media.
He had like
Yeah.
a whole magazine spread about it.
He wrote a. Why does that? Do we blame Zuckerberg? That actually was what I was going to ask. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly who you blame. You blame Facebook and you blame Google. At the end of the day, it all
Right.
comes down to ad revenue, and those two are taking up like 50% of ad revenue is going to them at the moment. And so I
Right.
feel like as much as people want to say that it's because of the quality of news or because things became clickbaity or et cetera, it's really just about ad revenue. That's why things became clickbaity. That's
Right.
why everybody flocked to Facebook and changed entire newsrooms and entire strategies around was to try to go where they felt that the views were and where the audience was.
Right.
But you can't just do stuff for free. It doesn't.
So
pay
you
off.
kind of lived through this at HuffPost yourself a couple years ago, and let me just get this out of the way. And so, did you have to sign an NDA so you can't tell us like an awesome story about Ariana Huffington trying to like
Oh
force you
my
to give her a colonic or
goodness.
something?
I did. So
Ah,
I was
fuck,
part
all right.
of one round.
Yeah, talk about that actually. So because
Yeah.
you were there, like they tried to do HuffPost Live. You were great. There were actually some really talented hosts there.
Yeah,
And
great people.
like what was that process? And yeah, talk about the NDA actually, no joke, because that is a big, I mean, it's a literal gag on what people can say about how these things work on the inside.
I thought I'm not to like toot our horn at the time, but I thought that HuffPost Live really was a kind of beautiful experiment because it was good. It was the first live streaming network of its kind, and we had really great, substantive, amazing discussions, incredible guests, and like Mark Lamont Hill, Alicia Menendez, Jacob Soboroff, all those people were hosts. Caroline
Michael
Motoresi
Brooks.
Tehrani, Michael Brooks. Michael Brooks came on my show quite often, and so the first thing to go was HuffPost Live. It was this day, we called it the Red Wedding, for anybody out there who watches Game of Thrones. I was actually still on set hosting a live program, and we had a glass wall behind the couch because the whole shtick was like, you can see real people working in the
See
background.
people
It's
getting
so
laid
cool.
off and offered
so
a mindfulness-based severance
So I'm
package.
sitting basically where Michael is. My guests are right here on the couch, and I'm like looking through the glass behind them, and I'm noticing that everyone in the background is like crying. People are hugging as if like, someone just got assassinated or like everyone's mom just died. And turns out they just started doing like a massive layoff and ending HuffPost Live, but they forgot to take HuffPost Live off the air first. And so so I was still broadcasting live while like this horrible, horrible thing was all happening in the background. And I think they laid off at least 3/4 of our staff that day. Like they just ended HuffPost Live because at the time it didn't really have a distribution model.
Right.
Like people didn't know to go to live.huffingtonpost.com to watch it. There wasn't Facebook
I can
yet.
tell you even anecdotally,
Yeah.
like telling people like, hey, I'm going to be on HuffPost Live. And people being like, dude. To like backspace /live/
Yeah, like no, yeah, nobody
get more
does
sleep
that.
/AOL front page. I mean,
But so the next phase of it, which so I didn't get laid off that time. I was part of the next phase where suddenly it was all about chasing Facebook and whatever they wanted publishers to do. And so at the time they started paying publishers to do live streams. And so suddenly like the HuffPost Live, strategy was we're going to cover the election, we're going to send you all over the country, and you're just going to do live streams like over a phone, and the quality is going to be really shitty. And this is like, I've hosted like TV shows in really fancy studios with like the most state-of-the-art amazing cameras and equipment, and you're like, oh, okay, we're just using a cell phone and it looks like crap.
that was so. I remember when that started. And I don't mean to drag this guy at all. He's a really nice guy. obviously we're coming from different places, but there's a guy named Parag Khanna who is like, he actually has a new book out on like the wealth pivot to Asia. He's kind of like if Thomas Friedman was infinitely smarter and of an Indian background and like wrote well. And I have
someone
like
entirely different.
somebody entirely different, but somebody who definitely will be like, I was just meeting with Lee Kuan Yew at the Singapore Forum, and we realized that like, the internet is currency, and so, but see, Parag really is a great guy. See how you get compromised by personal friendships and stuff. So, Second World is a great book. But I remember he was doing a thing like back in like 2007 or something, and it was for a foreign policy magazine or something, and it was called like Flip Phone World, and it was like, and it was such a thing that at that time, for the first thing, you're like, man, this is so cool. Like this guy's in Mozambique, he's meeting with an eco-activist, he's meeting with this and that person all over the world. And it's kind of informal. He's just doing it on, literally a flip phone. This is before iPhones. And then it was like 2.5 episodes in, you're just like, this looks fucking terrible. And I don't understand what you're saying. And this is all concept and no execution. And so it's like, it feels like the only execution we've actually had in the modern media environment is turning this over to these predator platforms that just eat the business models. And then real people lose their jobs. And we don't have a capacity to do news. People freak out about fake news, but they're not willing to actually get back to thinking. They just want their own narrow delivery system.
Well, it's an interesting combination of everything, because you have places like Facebook, first of all, dictating what kind of content gets better placement,
right,
essentially on its platform, which for a while it was only short videos, and for a while they were favoring publishers, and so everybody was just trying to make clickbaity things. Then they changed that algorithm, and so they weren't favoring publishers anymore because they wanted to focus on like family and friends and real people again, and be about unifying the world. And then and then now I think that they don't share any of the figures, but they have people who are Facebook users vote on trusted or trustee news sources.
Right.
Which, the problem is like then that can mean anything to anyone, because as we know, people like to live in their own little ideological bubbles. And so it's like if you have 1 million people on Facebook that are saying, well, I think Sean Hannity is the most trusted news source because he reflects my line of thinking.
His neck, there's a substance.
But then that's what's going to be, on Facebook, and that's what's going to be getting better placement and more eyeballs on it. And so the whole thing is just messed up and twisted. And I think what's been interesting is to see, at the time when the New York Times first came out with just their paywall,
right,
people were like laughing at them, like, oh, you stodgy old establishment newspaper. And then now everyone is desperate to try to set up a paywall, because it turns out that that's what works. You have to set up a paywall.
And don't pay the New York Times. But
and you have to diversify, though, right? You have to.
They'll be fine without you.
Yeah, they'll be fine without you. That's
they probably will be just fine without you. But
yeah,
if you look at what Vox is doing, if you look at what like Axios and the only places that are supposedly showing some type of revenue, is they're just diversifying. And so you have podcasts, they're trying to make deals with studios, they're trying to sell shows to Netflix and to Amazon, because that's where the money is, because you're never going to make money if Facebook and Google, which is now where all the eyes are going to find the news, they're not going to your personal website. They're the ones taking half your ad revenue away.
They created Commons, they took over Commons, privatized them, and now they just lie about data, and it's just another cash out like anything else.
Can I tell you just one really sad story?
Please.
Just to
go
put a nice little bow on that HuffPost Live thing. So, we were
Ariana
covering the
Huffington
election.
was there, and you had not heard her use the N-word before.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I'm trying. I don't want you to break your NDA. I'm sorry.
I will say once, by the time it came to my layoff, Ariana Huffington was no longer there. She wasn't the editor-in-chief anymore.
Oh, really, honey?
And
That's a nap.
What?
I had a pretty good Ariana, actually.
Yeah, she had to take a nap.
But they did make you sign a non-disparagement agreement, which sucks, because I'm
does,
sure it's
I
happening
know.
to all these other journalists getting laid off everywhere else too, because you're not in the position to say no to the money,
right?
Because you just lost your job. But then at the same time, even if you got majorly screwed over, you can't tell anybody about it. You really can't go into detail.
Right.
But a lot of these organizations have been unionizing. You know, HuffPost actually unionized just before I got Yeah. And so, like, the unions will negotiate you at least a severance, you know, at least some kind of decent exit.
100%.
So that point I was just going to make was, you know, the sad thing about why it's people's fault, too. It's not just Facebook and Google. It's also the viewers and the consumers.
But not these people.
Not
They
these
pay
people.
good money.
You're smart. You're smart because
Yeah.
you're all here.
TMBS militia.
The most viewed, we were doing live streams about the election from, like, you know, opioid treatment centers in West Virginia. We did one from the top of a mountain to talk about mountaintop removal and the coal industry and all these, like, really serious topics. And the most viewed live stream that I think had maybe 8 million views was just a candle that was shaped like Donald Trump burning for 6 hours. People just watched a candle burn.
Reclaim your
reporting.
space from Donald Trump, people. You should not be in your heads that much.
But even things like that we sort of think are a little bit trivial, like those people get really abused. I don't know if you saw, but with BuzzFeed, there's this woman in Michigan who has been making the BuzzFeed quizzes, which is what most people use BuzzFeed for.
Right.
You know, silly stuff like what type of chicken nugget are you, right? Her quizzes that she contributed to BuzzFeed alone brought them in $300 million of ad revenue. Do you know how much she was getting paid?
$30,000 a year.
Nothing. They were giving her gift cards.
What?
So there's a whole group of, I mean,
That's
you know,
right.
there's a lot of problems with, you know, paying for media, but there's also a problem with the power that a lot of these media companies have where they really abuse creators in the first
100%.
place.
Well, I mean, the problem too is like one day I'll write a book called The Crisis of Middle Management. And it's just because you have so
That's
many
a good-
people
that's a
at
good
these
book.
organizations too that like fail upward. They're not the ones that ever get laid off. They're not the ones that are ever held accountable for anything. And they get to just somehow keep rising up the ranks.
I've heard about that actually as a business tactic in media companies, that a strategy for the type of parasitic person you're talking about is when it's flush, you go on a hiring spree. So that when it contracts, you're like, oh, well, I just fired 6 people. So, I mean, we're on it.
There you go.
That type of bullshit. Alona, you are one of the most valuable people in the universe of this show. You're awesome.
Wow. Thank you.
You're amazing.
I love the show.
I love having you on. Everybody loves you. The next time you come on, and this is no bullshit, we are wearing matching Adidas tracksuits.
I brought a tracksuit tonight, and then I showed up, and turns out this guy wasn't wearing his tracksuit, but a
was
real
not.
suit. So
It's all
I didn't
suits.
put mine on.
It's suits. Get- don't hate the makers, guys. Will you stick around though? Well, because what we're gonna do is when the next guest comes on, we're gonna sort of do like a Johnny Carson kind of rotation. So can you just move down one?
Yes, sir.
And before we bring up our next guest, though, we have another leaked audio. This is the most bizarre guided meditation I've ever heard in my life.
Welcome to Advanced Jewish Assisted Mindfulness Meditation. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is the advanced course, not for beginners, not for intermediaries. This is the advanced course. This is where we really teach you how to meditate, how to be mindful, how to live more effectively, be happier, be more calm, more relaxed, and more compassionate to those around you. Now, if you fail at this course, if you've meditated and you said to yourself, I'm not feeling more relaxed, I'm not feeling more calm, I'm not feeling more effective, I'm not feeling more happy, don't respond to me. Don't blame me. Don't blame the technique. Blame yourself. Now, we live in a victim culture where the left blames everything on everybody else. And a lot of mindfulness teachers and a lot of others on the left, they'll say, okay, well, you failed at meditating. You couldn't follow your breath. Your thoughts are all over the place. Let's examine the technique. Maybe it can be taught more effectively. Be compassionate to yourself. Give yourself a break and try again. I'm not going to coddle you. If you fail to become more relaxed, effective, and compassionate as a result of this technique, you blame yourself. You and I have engaged in a fiduciary agreement, and that's a term that I learned in law school, where we have agreed that I am going to provide you with a technique that will make you more calm, effective, compassionate, and happy. If you fail to do that, That is your responsibility. Now, the left is going to tell you that it's everybody's responsibility but yours, because we don't live in a responsibility culture. We live in a victim culture. But I'm here to tell you that if you do not achieve the results, it is because of your complete inability to master the technique, attain the technique, and work with the technique. It is never on me. It is always on you. Now, take a deep breath in.
It's like cardio doing that kid's impression. Jesus Christ. I feel like getting a fucking asthma attack listening to it. Next, we have another member. All of these people tonight, of course, are crew and associates. He's another MVP. He's a genius. His podcast, Champagne Sharks, you've got to be listening to. It's crazy if you're not listening to Champagne Sharks. Trevor Beaulieu, you might know him as T. I think we're ready for his music. Left is best. Wait. No music? I want the music.
Mother, there's too many of you crying.
I thought the music would be a lot worse.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
It works.
Great song.
I thought it'd be something trolly. Like, I thought it was gonna
No, I wanted it to be like classy trolly.
It's like very earnest.
No, I like, you know.
I wasn't ready for that.
Well, because of your beard.
Oh, there you go.
When you started rocking the Kofi Annan beard, that was when the music got selected.
I went on your show, and then somebody dropped a comment, and it's the only place where I know somebody really saw the beard.
Right.
And it was like, nice patchy ass beard, motherfucker. And I was like,
By the way, if there's any YouTube commentators out here tonight, shame on you.
and it's like,
This is a
I
general
know.
comment.
Yeah.
No, we love you. The rate, you know what? The activity is all that counts. I actually really do like it. Like a little insight on these stupid algorithms. There's nothing funnier than when somebody, like, particularly like a Sam Harris type person, is like, oh, look at the ratio on the video, and it's like, it's your fucking watch time, you morons, and you just wrote a comment, which is the most helpful thing you could do, you fucking idiots. All right. T, what is your right-wing scam?
Oh. I wanted the scam that was going for my audience.
So to flip them to the right.
Well, no.
Scam your own audience.
I'm gonna scam my own audience. And, because
Scam my own audience.
I mean, somebody has to. I wanted like a Champagne Sharks Doomsday Prepper.
Ooh.
Type of thing.
This is very promising. All right.
And it's like we have a good cross section, right, of fans. So it's like for the like the Bernie Bros. I was gonna have like a Young Bernie calendar. You know, like all Young Bernie shots.
Yes.
Gonna
I would
have.
buy that.
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna have for the kind of Black Israelite type followers. Gonna have the Brotep protein powder.
That's the one I'll be purchasing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then in it, like, it's gonna be all like neoliberal consumer stuff. So like, food's not gonna be in there. It's gonna be nothing actually useful.
Oh, so wait.
All consumers
Wait, this
like
is very disruptive to the prepper
I'm
category.
going full neo. I'm going
so
full
you're
neo-lib.
not doing prepackaged foods.
Food would be useful. No,
Fascinating.
this is pure neo-lib. It's just
So
nothing useful.
what are we? Okay, all right. I'm seeing a theme. A calendar.
Consumers, like, just, you know, like, I'm gonna have the full Marvel DCU like box set, right? But it's gonna have like extra bonus audio tracks and commentary.
Right.
So it's gonna be all the representational stuff, you know.
Yes.
For like the Representation Matters crowd.
Oh, so it's
like Wonder Woman, Black Panther.
Oh, so you can be like slay queen while you're starving.
Yeah.
Which actually could be a
Preserving
slogan
history.
for some 2020 campaigns.
But if you're brochureless, we're gonna add our own audio tracks where everyone gets lectured on class first. So it's like,
So wait. So in other words, Beyonce is there, and then all of a sudden, someone like me comes on, and we're like, actually, there's a class structure basis.
yeah,
to this.
exactly. So, yeah, exactly. So somebody comes and lectures Killmonger like actually class, So
Will it
both
literally
sides
say
can enjoy it.
okay.
You can switch the audio track. If you're identity politics, you just watch it as it is.
So this sounds torturous.
I think about this all year round, like
Oh
how I'm going to
God.
grift my audience.
I don't want this in my Fallout
Yeah,
shelter.
yeah.
I just want the Bernie calendar.
Yeah, I'm going to stop because I have a whole list of grifts that.
Right, don't give it all away.
Yeah, I don't want to give it all away.
By the way, check out T's Killmonger Was Right t-shirts. Woo! I was too on brand for our Black Panther conversation. I was like, yeah, that's exactly right. And they work with the CIA. That's bullshit. Killmonger was right. Yeah, Ross didn't work for no CIA. All right, T, you're a master of Twitter. Brendan Sutton is here tonight. He's a genius. He's
is
also
he here?
a master
Nice.
of Twitter.
No.
Yeah.
That's sensei level shit posting.
Everybody follow him. Pretty bad lefty.
Chad Vigorous.
Sorry. We'll edit that. So, but you've identified a couple of types, and we're going to bring the first one up here on screen, of weird ways that I guess particularly, in fact, white people are being on Twitter. And the first type is what we're calling the wine crip. So, I'm going to set you up, T, but this is, and I'm going to read this for people who might listen later. This says, y'all who are not, this is a white woman. Y'all who are not from Los Angeles don't understand what Nancy Pelosi is doing to Donald Trump is. She is gangsta checking him. Ask at Snoop Dogg, he's failing. So, in my mind's eye, and maybe I'm being totally unfair, this is like the type of account that 3 years ago would have been like, when Hillary said super predators, she was talking about really dangerous kids. And somehow in the last couple of years, these same people have they think they're in their own Green Mile movie of resistance.
You want to know what's crazy about this?
Yes.
The part that's cut off is actually worse than this.
Wow.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Like after this, right? So she goes, I don't know if the audience can see because okay, no, I don't think it's your fault. I think it's just the way it's set up, right? So she goes, y'all who are not from Los Angeles don't understand that what Nancy Pelosi is doing to Donald Trump is she is gangster checking him. Ask Snoop Dogg. And she adds Snoop Dogg. So Snoop Dogg's probably like, who the fuck is this bitch? Right?
Snoop Dogg should get on Snapchat over this.
Yeah, he probably got 500 mentions and then just this weird bitch with a
He toured
fucking
Wired one time.
horse riding hat. That's the kind of I ride horses hat.
It is the horse riding hat
Yeah.
that really brings it home.
Right?
Yes.
And then some guy responds, I'm from Los Angeles and I've never heard of this. And then I swear to God, this is what she says. She goes, homie, what set you from?
Oh my God.
And then somebody responds, oh, beautiful, crushing board. If you're extremely online brain, you know who that is. Says, why do you talk like that? I like that one guy laughed. One extremely online guy is in that direction. But yeah, it says, why do you talk like that? Yeah.
All right, so now we have another example. This is slide 2. I mean, this is also, and I just, again, I'm not like a Jezebel listicle person, but this is a white person tweeting this, okay? And it happens to be about Bernie, but if it was about anybody, this is a miscue to be Obama-ish about it. The contest has already played out, and we are living the result. Reality is a very convincing argument. Black Twitter ain't having no Bernie. Overall, I'm saying, to be honest, his fans don't recommend him anymore. Wow.
That's the first time in her life she said ain't.
That does fly in
Easily.
the face of all polling, but okay.
Yeah, I'm going to literally crowdsource this, literally as a crowd. I want to know if they should be called wine crips or henny moms. Because it's I don't know which one is better.
Well, then why can't they be both?
Yeah,
I think there's
sure.
different. What set are you from?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But this lady, what's really good about her, right? So she goes, Black Twitter ain't having no Bernie, and it's become like almost like a meme. She had to shut down over this. She got ratios so bad, she had to shut down.
So she was.
But what's really good about this, right?
Yes.
If y'all can see like her picture there, right? And she looks like what you'd expect. But there's a sign. There's a sign in the back of her, and somebody zoomed in on it.
Oh, please.
And you zoom in on the
Please
sign.
tell me you have this. Please.
I'm going to let you.
Enhance.
I'm going to let you read this. What does the sign say?
It says
Computer, enhance.
acupuncture treatment room.
Then somebody went to her Facebook page, like good internet detectives do, and she was asking somebody if anybody's good enough at Photoshop. She found a Homie the Clown meme called "Homie Don't Think So, Homie Don't Play That," and she asked, "Can somebody who is better than me change Homie to Comey?"
All right, I can't take this anymore. Now we need to go to our third category, and the third category is pretty self-explanatory. It's the I am right wing and I am thirsting over AOC.
Oh yeah. Yeah, these are guys where it's like something about that brown skin is like real. That's socialism, but you know, yeah, they're really just clearly turned on by, you know, whatever Latina eyes like she has going on, but this kind of goes against the whole, you know, racist history. So they got to, like, they want to dunk on it. Like, this is just a thirst shot.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
that is
definitely.
but what's awesome though is that every single tweet and like, look, I say maybe too much, but there's a lot of people that I say like, yeah, fuck that person, I don't care, fuck them, whatever, don't mention me again. That's one of my default modes. But what I like is that they do the same. Like it would be as if you were like, they literally do segments like, she's an idiot. She couldn't be more irrelevant. I really want her to come on my platform so we can have a conversation and I can explain to her and she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. We could talk and then we could maybe spend some time together. And I think, you know, maybe we actually, you know, certainly my masturbation life transcends political differences. So maybe.
I feel like it's like, you know, when like that guy likes a girl, but he just doesn't know how to talk to her, like he's 5 years
Talking
old.
pigtails?
Yeah, so he pulls the pigtails. Like, I feel like he just wanted to get like a shot of her from the back, and he needed some kind of reason to have it on his phone. So it's like, he does like this fake socialism thing, and it. Reporting, right? Yeah, reporting.
Wait, your mic isn't on? Oh, is there a way we can get Alona's mic?
Shut me up. Oh.
You're back.
The problem is that I feel like every, you know, right-wing guy that hates AOC, or not every, I don't like making blanket statements.
I
but
do.
Most of them want to fuck her, you know? They think she's hot.
Yes.
They like completely just salivate over her and then end up being sexist.
This guy is like, she
asshole.
is. I like it's like every
Subjectively
sentient human thinks she's hot. But they're not
But they won't
sentient.
admit it, and so they blame her.
That's right. So here, T, you're going to stay up on stage before we get to our next segment, and we're going to do the move down. But I just want to say, T, I guess there is a camera over there with Forrest, our brilliant tech and camera guy. And I would just like to send this message from T and I to all right-wing people. Stop pulling AOC's pigtails. She's not that into you. Alona, you're amazing. Alona's going to be back out because from the final 10 minutes, everybody's going to be on stage when we take your questions. Alona, though, we'll see you in a little bit. Thank you. I think it's time before we bring out Mike Racine. Yeah. I like how Mike definitely would get the like, yeah. I like it. Wait, was that a Lula impression?
Lula's a big Mike Racine.
We're gonna get Lula's a Lula. I like Mike Racine very much. I like the sit down podcast. Mike Racine.
Love the Red Scare impression.
What we're gonna do first, though, we have actually this and then a shout out, and then we're gonna get to Mike Racine. But we have one more. This is quite a guided meditation. Check this out.
Hey, how's it going, guys? It's me, Dave Rubin, and we are gonna meditate. Okay, so why don't you start by relaxing and think about how your body feels in the chair, or maybe you're on the floor, or maybe you're in a beanbag chair. Those are fun, huh? I should go buy a beanbag chair when this is over. Anyway, I want you to concentrate on the sensation of your breath. Okay, so think about how it feels, the air going in and out of your body. Okay, and just think about the sensation of your diaphragm opening and retracting. You know what else is a fun sensation? When you go to get shoes and they measure your foot and they use that little metal thing to they slide it on your foot. You know. I always ask them to measure my feet. You know, they say, "What size shoe are you?" And I say, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe you should measure my foot with that metal thing." And they say, "How are you a grown man who doesn't know his own shoe size?" And I say, "I don't know." One time that happened, and they were like, "You were in here yesterday," and I ran out, and then I came back later with a sombrero and a fake mustache, and I said, "Yo quiero nuevos zapatos." And that was fun. They measured my feet for me. And it felt good, you know? Bubbles, that's a fun sensation when you're in like a whirlpool or something, you know? So, yeah, I just want you to think about, don't think about the yellow car that's outside your window, even though, you know, you don't really see a lot of yellow cars nowadays. Usually they're like blue and white, you know. My dad had a green car. Anyway, don't think about, maybe you're stressed about stuff, you know, but we're gonna leave those behind with this session. You know, maybe you're upset that Ben Shapiro is not gonna come to your anniversary party, but who cares, you know? Maybe you had a little incident with your boss. You know, maybe your boss is Jordan Peterson, and he yelled at you at Starbucks for messing up his coffee order. You know, he snapped, and it made you tear up a little bit in front of everybody. But that's not Jordan's fault. He works really hard, eats a lot of red meat. You know, probably that was just the red meat talking, I think. Maybe you're stressed out because you're a little embarrassed that Joe Rogan knows more about construction than you, but that's not your fault. You know, I mean, who cares, right? Maybe you're worried that you're worried about Sam Cedar and Michael Brooks making fun of you, calling you a ding dong, but you're not a ding dong. You're a very bright guy. You're a very bright guy. What do they know, you know? A lot of people say you're smart. Your buddy Stefan thinks you're very smart. Bolsonaro, he likes what you're doing, and he said if you needed anybody killed, you know, he'd do it for you. So don't even worry. All right? Okay.
Bolsonaro. All right, we got to go really quickly to the shout out. DJ Danarchy, please.
Let's get to the shout out. Shout out.
Creepy.
Shout out.
Weird. I think that's creepy. This is out of control.
Shout out.
That's creepy.
Shout out.
That's weird. Creepy.
Shout out.
Weird.
Shout
Crazy.
out.
This is
out of
crazy.
control.
Shout out.
This is out of control.
Shout out.
This is weird.
Shout out.
You know, guys, it's part of the brand of the show now. But it means a lot to me. We got to shout Lula out. He is the most prominent political prisoner.
Woo!
He brought 40 million people out of poverty. They hate him because of what he did, and there was literally no way to beat him. So I appreciate so much, including some of you with your patience. Like, why the fuck is he talking about Lula all the time? But it means a tremendous amount to me, and I actually think it's a door to something that's really important in the world, and I appreciate all of you who have spoken out about it. I don't know what's going to happen, but I was contacted by somebody who works in a congressional office recently, and he was saying, you know, look, I'm really into your show, and I'm trying to work this in the office a little bit. So please talk about this, and please, Lula Libre.
Lula Libre.
Lula Libre. All right, guys, seriously, thank you. Mike Racine, come with us, please. If his music is ready. Is his music ready? It's actually going to take a second because you're going to know what this is in a second. Do you guys know what this is? All right, here he is.
It's good, a little on the nose, but
I was initially going to do The Godfather. I didn't have enough time. I wanted to find some like Mamma Mia, Mamma Mamma, but I didn't have time.
Yeah.
Some like real guinea shit.
Whoa. Did you guys hear that? He just used a slur. I should break you face right now. I should break you face in front of all these people. You disrespected me. My family's here. You disrespected me in front of my mother. I'm just kidding. Actually, Michael's mother is here too, so our mothers are gonna fight in the lobby.
Mike,
that'd be fun, right? You guys thought you were here for a talk show? You get to see something else. How you doing?
What's your right wing grift, Mike?
My right wing grift.
Are you doing it?
I was thinking of I don't know. I didn't realize we were doing this till I got here, but I was thinking about like, what if you were able to find like middle-aged guys who got cucked, like their wives,
I think you could find them.
Their wives cheated on them, and then you convince them that getting cucked is actually cool, because
you want to go in the Jordan Peterson market,
right? Because it means that like you're so detached and stone-faced that you don't care that
like,
a younger man fucked your wife.
I don't give a fuck about my relationships and feelings so much my wife cheats on me.
Right.
I'm a fucking man.
And you steal your heart, and you don't let anything bother you, and then you are a true alpha.
So we were actually gonna. It's funny because
I think there's some girls here, by the way.
There's a lot of girls.
Hey.
Yes. We are. This is not TMBS bucks the brochure-less brands, man.
Yeah.
Woo. Yes. 99 Summer Jam, and I appreciate anybody who understands that reference. So, Mike. What the fuck? Mike, we talked about so does everybody here know, because I apologize for those who don't know, but does everybody here know the intellectual dark web, the people we've been making fun of? Everybody has a sense of this.
I'm like the Dave Rubin of this crew, by the way. I'm just dumb and gay. And just happy to be here, you know, and
So our conversation was, thank you. What would you do?
You gonna let this guy tell you what to do?
Yeah, he does. He's the secret orchestrator of everything.
Yeah.
So if you were trying to, if the intellectual dark web was a mafia family, and Sam Harris was the boss,
You think
And-
Harris or Peterson would be the boss? I guess Harris would be the boss.
I mean, yeah,
He's
Harris.
more of the-
Peterson's too
What
erratic.
do you guys think?
He's too erratic.
I feel like Harris would be.
Harris is boss. Yeah, I think Harris. is
Harris
boss.
has
the
institu-
enforcer.
Yeah, Harris has the institutional well.
But
or
but
the
Joe
in-
but
well.
Joe Rogan is like the under. He's like the street boss.
Joe
He's
Rogan's
like the
the
Johnny
underboss.
Sack.
Joe
He's the
Rogan's
face
definitely
of the
Joe Rogan's
organization.
underboss. That's a given.
Yeah.
Hold on. Who's
Yeah.
the Uncle Junior? Is what I want to know.
Okay,
Jr.
Uncle
is,
Junior. No, dude, Uncle Junior is God sad because he's always whining that he never gets that done. It's a perfect reference, but I'm depressed that I know the answer to it.
Okay.
So if we're the FBI,
And then maybe Peterson is like the consigliere. He's
That's
kind
what
of
I
in the
think.
shadows.
But that's such an insult to Syl. But yeah, he's not in the. Well, he is. I'm in the shadows. Yeah, that works.
yeah.
So we're the FBI. Who do we try to flip to become a rat to break up this crew?
I think everyone in here knows the answer to that one.
Yeah.
Ruben. Yeah. Ruben.
Yeah, okay. So what is the approach to working Ruben?
You just.
Is it purely money?
I think you just exploit the insecurity that he feels. You know, like you approach him and you're like, listen. You're like, listen. We heard Rogan didn't even let you touch the sword. And he goes, I don't know why I didn't get to take a picture with the sword. That was kind of weird, right? You're like,
So in a really weird way.
you're like, they don't respect you, Dave.
Wait, so you're actually saying that Dave Rubin is Big Pussy Bompancero?
Maybe, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Big Pussy did get flipped because
But
of
Ruben
insecurity.
has no info.
What?
Ruben has no info. He doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's the
He's a
other meeting. Like
follower.
Harris
Yeah,
is
Ruben's
like,
like
But that's why
bouncer.
you.
Harris is like, don't worry about it. He doesn't know anything.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Is the mic on? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How about Fredo? I feel like he's more of a Fredo than a big pussy.
Ruben is Fredo.
So who kills?
I'm smart, not like
Ruben
everybody
is,
says.
Ruben is.
Who kills Ruben in the boat? Who
Ruben
kills
is
Dave
Bobby
Rubin?
Bacala. He's just
No,
kind
Bobby
of
Bacala's
grandfather.
a good guy.
All right, then who? I don't know.
I don't buy that. Ruben is Hardy Bucco.
Yeah, there you
Hardy
go.
Bucco ran a great Italian restaurant and
Yeah.
refused the temptations and was in a committed, honorable relationship. How dare you?
I've only seen through season 3, but isn't Ruben the bouncer at the Bada Bing?
Oh, and so
yeah,
every
yeah,
time Harris is like,
Harris
God damn it, Glenn Greenwald took me out of context again, and he throws a phone.
Well, you imagine Ruben? You're like, all right, like if I'm the FBI agent, I'm like, all right, Dave, this is what you got to do. You give him the wire, and he's like on the fence about it. He doesn't want to betray his friends, and then he remembers when Ben Shapiro said, "I'm not coming to your anniversary party," and then he goes, all right, I'm gonna do, and then he
Now,
puts
fuck
the
that
wire
guy.
on.
Now is Ben Shapiro part of the intellectual dark web? Because then who would he be?
Ben Shapiro. No,
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro is Johnny Sack. He comes from New York. He's affiliated, and he's always talking about his wife.
Right. Right.
Cernovich is Jackie Jr., I would think.
Cernovich is definitely Jackie Jr., and he's gone pretty quickly. Yeah. That was definitely that was one of those Harris was like, you can't have that guy on the show anymore. Translative branding. In the last, for a minute, because we're about to bring out Bhaskar Sunkara. But you've been talking about people that you're close to who might be pretty
Well,
far.
I just said my girlfriend's a teacher from Staten Island, so. What are you booing? I'll pivot right now. I'm loyal to the people I care about, all right? You don't like Staten Island? Oh. Thank you.
What's
This
the
guy's
play?
booing education.
So you're trying to get people to move to the left that are close to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's a teacher, so she kind of liked that Kamala video where she wanted to lock up parents.
Yo,
but she's got a tough job.
I know her.
I
and
showed
that
her-
actually makes me like her even more.
I
'cause
showed
can
her-
picture, like, why? What's wrong? They were being irresponsible.
What the fuck?
I like
How
her
else
having
you gonna
a bit
get
of-
the kid to
she
come
was
to
saying that
class?
You should
Yeah.
take care of your kids. So for this, we demonize her.
Yeah.
If Kamala Harris was the DA where I grew up, our whole family would have gotten life sentences.
One of my right-wing drifts was gonna be like a Kamala Harris like Monopoly board, but like half the squares are going right to jail, and then the pieces would be like a cookout grill, a dashiki, and like a Soul Train box set.
All right, guys, we got to bring up Bhaskar in a second. Mike, you're going to stay here, but first, another one of these found audio. This one is actually, we all hate Dave Rubin, but this is kind of disturbing if this really happens.
Meditation. Now, it's a very interesting concept that we need to be very clear and precise about. Now, speaking of precise, who the fuck do I need to blow to get some goddamn steak around here, Dave?
Pause it, sorry.
You fucking incompetent moron.
I'm sorry, it's ready. Just a couple more minutes.
I will literally fucking kill you, and not in the way that I talk about fucking Cinderella to freaking incels on YouTube. I will literally, not figuratively, put a fucking stake through your eye.
You're absolutely right, and I'll get that steak to you as soon as it's ready.
All right, bitches be trifling. Breathe in.
All right, everybody. We have, I don't know why T left, unfortunately, prematurely, but let's give it a hand for T. Yeah. Mike, stay on stage, move down, but stay, please. Do we have the music for the founder and chief editor of Jacobin Magazine, TMBS show crew, and genius, Bhaskar Sunkara?
In revolt clouds thunder, shades of hatred, greed, and fear. Away with all your superstitions, serve our masses, arise.
That edition of the Internationale before?
No, I have.
The Tony Babino Internationale?
No, that's a Las Vegas one, right?
Yes. And I thought of you.
I've not.
Do you not like the? You're like the guy who likes to do like I'm a communist, but I don't like the Internationale.
No, I think it's a great poem. It should. I think it's hard to sing. It's hard to remember the lyrics. It's like the national anthem. The U.S. national anthem really
you're
is
one of
fucking
those.
terrible. Yeah, the Canadian national anthem. That's a nice national anthem. It's pleasant. You could remember the words to it. I don't know.
Bhaskar, what's your right-wing grift? I know that we've literally talked about many of them.
I don't like to call it a grift. I think I would be delivering a service to people. So I would like to create a kind of lifestyle / cookbook called like Live Like Winston Churchill. So it would involve like waking up in the morning, eating like 7 pork sausages,
So like the Atkins diet with cigars.
Like,
it's like the Atkins diet, cigars, and racism. Live like Churchill.
Drinking a liter of whiskey, going for a horse ride, just things guaranteed to get right-wingers killed.
So you're so committed to the movement. All the rest of us were just like, we could just get paid stupid money. But you're trying to synthesize the material demands of making money and killing right-wing people.
Yeah, but Churchill was a very eclectic man. He did water painting.
He did what?
He was a painter.
Yeah.
Just like Hitler, actually. He did the same type of same type of landscape painting as Hitler. I really don't know.
Hitler was not a good painter. His paintings sucked.
So
like this whole if he was an artist, like, nah.
So
he was actually much better at what he did than painting. I know.
So Hitler was very bad at painting people and portraits, but I think his landscape paintings weren't that bad. And by the way, that's not an endorsement of any other part of the ideology of National Socialism.
I think everything that we just said is highly clippable.
Maybe. But every great leader has lives before they become leaders. So Churchill was, I don't know what he was doing, but Mussolini was a socialist editor.
I know, but Mussolini was the classic. We need to look out for the Mussolinis of our day because he was just a pure.
Look at him.
He was a careerist.
Well, he fooled Lenin. Lenin was very worried when
he
turned right. Lenin, there's actual journals where Lenin's like, "Oh, it's a shame that we've lost Mussolini to the right wing."
Right. Well, he was talented. Yeah.
That's a hard transition. This is where you make your money right now.
Exactly. All right. So, anyways, speaking of Mussolini, is Bernie Sanders going to run for president?
Bernie Sanders is right now at a 7-Eleven ordering 3 buffalo chicken rollers, and he might just hop on Facebook Live, and it might be happening right now.
And he's like, dude, I'm going to do it. I'm going on fucking Facebook Live, and I'm going to announce this. Warren has not gotten it together.
Yeah.
I was hoping to rest a little bit in Lake Champlain, but it looks like I have to do fucking everything.
No, but he's running. He's running. He has dozens of staff just devoted to social media. He has,
So, I mean, obviously, this is a very I'm in a weird position with this. I don't know what's going on back there. I'm in a weird position with this because, like, especially in 2016, I was on the other side of, like, some people are like, oh no, like Black Lives Matter can't protest Bernie. And I was like, I support Bernie 110%. And not only should they protest him right now, in the beginning, this is going to make him a much better candidate, right? So I never for a second had any problem with, and I still don't, a substantive, smart, strategic critique of Bernie Sanders. 100%. And that should be true of everybody. Like personality cults are not healthy unless it's like about Bob Marley or me. Or Lula. Don't say a fucking word about Lula. Well, yeah, I mean, look, guy is, if Bernie was in prison, even, if Paul Ryan put Obama in prison on fake charges, I would say shut the fuck up about Obama.
He's
also, right.
Like, Lula's in prison for bullshit because,
yes.
I know a guy at Chase that could give you, a mortgage for what Lula got, that little house he got, if you're like working at like Safeway,
Every single fucking video they do of him where they're like, this is the oceanside home that Lula was said to have received. And it's like, it looks like something that like my ultra price conscious grandmother would be like, we could stay there in Palm Beach for 2 days. Like, this is not upscale stuff. It's an all lie. It's bullshit. He's a political prisoner. But that being said, I see a trend now with Bernie among some people. Not, again, I think there's some people who've been just consistently across the board. But there's some people now where it's like, and including, by the way, if we're being blunt, some people like in 2016 that supported Hillary Clinton. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't really think Bernie read Mao's Little Red Book. And, I really think that we ought to really sit down and think about this. And it's like, here's the paradox that we have to work with. Nobody's perfect, especially actually if you get a great president elected. You're going to need to work our asses off to pressure them to even have a prayer of the agenda. And we have an actual opportunity to elect a fucking legit democratic socialist as president. This is, and this is a time to scoff. I don't buy it.
Well, I think a lot of these people are, I don't mean this in a derogatory way, they're like the political equivalent of 16 and 17-year-olds. Because I've been there. Like I was, in 2014.
When you were 11.
Yeah, in 2014 and 2013, if you were to ask me about politics, I'd be a lot more confident than I am today. And now I'm actually like, I spend my professional life thinking about politics.
Right.
Because I was in that part of your political trajectory where you receive the ideas, you get the ideas, you feel like you have all the answers, and you're like, hey, by the way, I'm 17 years old, I have it all figured out. Fuck mom and dad, I can handle this shit. And I think that that's where a certain segment of the democratic socialist movement is at, which is fine. Like, so people who were not very politicized 2-3 years ago are now at that stage. And in 2-3 years, they'll be grown-ass people, and they'll be cool. But there's also that awkward year or two when you, like, I don't know, if you meet, especially happens to men, but if you meet someone who, like, just graduated from college a year ago, they know a bunch of shit, they had some experience.
Unless, of course, you're a patron of TMBS,
Yeah.
you're a fucking genius, and your criticisms of Bernie are totally
But
warranted.
they don't know how to converse with people,
Yeah.
they don't know, and
Right.
like, but
Except
they're
for
2 years away from being,
Conversing?
being okay, yeah, for being okay.
I
You
like
just have
that.
to wait out these people.
So, and is he the big, like, to me it also seems that he is also the clearest example. Like when we talk about like Twitter and all the toxicity and bullshit of social media, it doesn't matter in the real world. And then it's like, well, it does in some ways, like it profoundly doesn't, particularly if you're around like people who don't engage in it. But then on the other hand, the media class engages with it, and this is how stories spread and ideas get formed. But it does seem interesting that like, if you were to just read Twitter, you would think that like there is a serious problem with Bernie Sanders. And every single poll, and I'm going to say it's going to be profoundly difficult for him to win, but like he's the most popular politician in America. And the only politician who increases and maintains popularity with exposure. Cut that guy off.
Well, I think not that many people are on social media, and that's what we have to, or in that way, like are on Twitter or are seeing a lot of these stories. But it does create kind of a cloud. Like, is there a reason why I should be skeptical of Bernie or whatever? But I think the real danger to Bernie Sanders is just that he loses to Joe Biden, because people know who the fuck Joe Biden is. He's going to have the support of Obama, who's like supremely popular. Yeah, but they don't care. I mean, in other words, like, I think we have to question whether 2016 was the year that Americans were feeling this anti-establishment spirit. They're like, fuck all these people. And in various ways, it's manifested in good ways like Bernie and in bad ways like Trump.
Right.
But now I think the mentality of a lot of people is going to be like, we want to return to normalcy. We want to return to the normal bad, not this horrendous bad.
Right.
And I think we have to, like, I mean, respect the choice.
We have to empathize with that impulse.
Right. We have to campaign against Biden. At the same time, we recognize that people aren't voting for Biden because they love credit cards in Delaware. They're voting for Biden because he's known, he's predictable, and Trump is a horror show. And I think Bernie supporters, we have a potential shot at being Biden. Maybe it's like 25%, 20%, but it's somewhere around there.
I think we have a better shot at beating Biden than Kamala Harris. That's my view.
I think Harris is already done.
Biden might. Why is Harris already done?
Well, I mean, I think she's gotten a lot of negative attention. She hasn't released her fundraising numbers. I might be wrong, but I think her numbers are going to be bad. Both Warren and Harris, I think, have not had a lot of traction early on.
Definitely cut that guy off. And get him like a breathalyzer and water and vitamin C and. But why do you think Warren hasn't gotten off the ground? Is it because she's trying? I feel like Warren is doing like a synthesis that people who talk about politics thinks makes a lot of sense, but in the real world is actually a bit harder to translate. Like on paper, it's like, well, the establishment will have less of a problem with her because she isn't Bernie, and she's proposing some great proposals, but she's talking about reforming capitalism versus the socialism word. This is the path. And then the thing, and I always give Warren a lot of credit. I like and respect her a lot, but I do think that like, I think for most people, it's still a lot to swallow just the policy stuff versus just the simple Bernie like, these fuckers are taking your money and that's wrong.
Yeah, I think that's exactly. Warren's policies have actually been quite good. Like,
great,
I think she's been fine.
And she should get more respect and more props from a lot of people than she is.
Yeah. I think if you look at Bernie supporters, like a lot of these Vox guys kept saying, like the Ezra Kleins of the world, Matt Iglesias of the world, kept saying, you know, Bernie supporters were not actually that ideological.
Bullshit.
But I think they're right at the very level of policy. Like a lot of Bernie supporters weren't dissecting his policies, but they recognized his rhetoric and they shared a common hatred of the super rich. And I think we mobilized that anger. And we did it towards a program that would improve millions of lives, not towards like senseless destruction and kind of nihilism.
Racism and sexism.
So
and being a fucking idiot.
There's no reason to attack Warren. I think that Bernie's not going to be attacking Warren. I think Bernie supporters should follow the tone of Bernie as it relates to 100%. Warren. But some of these motherfuckers have got to go. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's also true.
And I think Biden's the main enemy.
Biden's the main enemy, and Wall Street gave us our list. They did us a beautiful favor. They said everybody besides Sanders and Warren is acceptable. Thank you. We have our marching orders. So they told us the only two acceptable candidates. And they also, frankly, I mean, I don't know how it will go with him. And I think he's another one of these sort of like pundits get a little too excited about him. But he could be formidable, and he'll be mixed. But Sherrod Brown might fit that bill too. Well, just in the sense of Wall Street's not going to like him.
Yeah,
he's not as good as the other two at all, but Wall Street won't like him.
I'm suspect. I mean,
I ain't
very
suspected
suspicious.
this.
I'm like this guy. I don't like this guy. I mean, I hear that, one, he has gotten some donations from Wall Street, but more importantly, he's just a Democrat that's been around in the House of Representatives a while. He's better than most Democrats, especially on labor and other issues, but he hasn't really distinguished himself.
Right.
You already have Warren in the race, who's pushing really good policies. You have Sanders that has a whole political, package. I don't really get why he would run unless he wants to be like Secretary of Labor or whatever, and like good on him. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to, before I ask you the last question, do you want to do we haven't even dunked on that guy at all. Let me say, Donald Trump, whatever, I own that I find his tweets funny. So his tweet about Howard Schultz was really funny. And I'm not going to put it up there because I just can't do that, but I can paraphrase it. So I'll 50% committing to laughing with him, but I can't go the whole 100. So Howard Schultz said in an interview recently, he was like, look, I know that I'm not the smartest guy in the room. As like, I trust people around me. And Trump was just like, self-described, not smartest guy in the room. He doesn't have the guts to run. And I was like, go Donald, yeah, get him. It was like the other one, I'll indulge myself, was when John Kerry was like, maybe I'll run for president. And, which by the way, fuck Hillary Clinton and John Kerry specific to Brazil. But Trump tweeted out, he was like, I heard John Kerry might run. I should be so lucky. Dash. And then he writes dash. He's like, but seriously, the 2020 field is shaping up to look pretty good. For me. That was that moment where I was like, you still have it. You've had a lot of sophomore slumps. Like, the peak of like impersonating Rubio drinking water was like your opus. And you've radically declined since, but yeah.
Yeah, who do the Dems have that's like kind of funny?
Oh, what did you say?
Who do the Dems have that's like kind of funny? AOC, yeah.
AOC's kind of funny. Bernie. We don't have the analogy of Trump. There isn't a roast master.
That's Talib's lane.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Okay,
Simpson,
this is good. We're talking.
There isn't a roast. There isn't a roast master general of the Democratic Party.
That's what Rashida Tlaib needs to do.
Rashida Tlaib. Well, I have a concept for those of you who listen to a certain highly vulgar podcast with three men. I had a concept of a woman
What's the name
version.
of the show?
I had a version of the show with AOC, Rashida Tlaib, and Ilhan Omar. And that's all I'm going to tell you about it. It's very funny. Last question before we have one more guided, and then we're going to bring everybody on stage and take some questions from you. Probably not you, sir. No, but seriously, I mean, look, you've been a socialist legitimately since you're in high school. I think, I've been on the left about, a lot of people have not been good for you, props. But not a lot of people were reading Trotsky in the way you were since high school. So, I mean, we're now even broader horizon than Bernie.
All of our parents owned a used bookstore. So.
Look. What do you feel about the prospects of socialism in our time? It's the big blue sky question.
I would say in general, there's no advantage to having become a socialist this early. It's almost like if any of you have ever written anything, it's like a curve. Oh, actually, I'll use a Civil War analogy. No, fuck it. I'll use a writing analogy. I'm sorry. I'm not a professional at this shit. So it's like you're pretty good at writing because you're writing like a 12-year-old writes, which is just like, here's what I did today. And it's just super clear and direct. Then some motherfucker teaches you adverbs. And then you're writing like, wow, I was so versatile today. My day was so versatile. And I was so proudly marching, whatever. So
the show's been very versatile.
But yeah, it's kind of like a curve, right? So I think I got super politicized into tradition. I was at protests. I was in socialist groups. I was kind of a Marxist. And then, like I said before, kind of supremely confident that with the right program, with the right set of ideas, like socialism will one day be relevant. And I think in the grand scheme of things, I was right. But I think through Bernie, we learned to, one, be confident in the moral core of our politics,
Yes.
but also to lose a lot of the baggage.
Yes.
And I think, you know,
Left is best. All right. Dude, it's fucking awesome doing stuff with you. You're amazing. You're going to stay right here. Bhaskar Sunkara. We talk about the big macro events, Occupy, Black Lives Matter, Bernie Sanders, but in a real significant way, particularly in our circles. I mean, Jacobin has put a lot on the table, man. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, you guys want us to go a little bit past 9? Do we want that? Do we want that? I think we'll do that. Do you want me to do an impersonation of Bernie campaigning against Warren like Donald Trump?
A little extra.
Pocahontas, everybody. Pocahontas. Wandering Dolezal, everybody. Wandering Dolezal. All right, I'm sorry. That was totally antithetical to what we just agreed to, but it was funny. Actually, all of that stuff against her is bullshit, and don't indulge it unless you can be as funny as that. Good for her. Elizabeth Warren is good. So what we're going to do, though, is we have one final leaked guided meditation. Then we're going to bring T and Alona back out, and we're going to take a handful of questions from you guys. But first, before anything happens, this one was unreal. This is literally a blurring of spheres of reality.
Breathe in. You are a fucking alpha male. Breathe out. You are a pussy cock. Breathe in. You are like Joe fucking Rogan. Breathe out. You are like Ari Melba. Breathe in. You're like Donald fucking Trump at a casino. Breathe out. You are Barack the African Muslim Obama. You are at peace. You are at power. You are Polly fucking Walnuts.
Thank you, everybody. Woo! Can Alona and T come back? No, stay. Everybody stays. Everybody stays for this. But we need Alona and T to return. Can you? I don't know if they hear. Do they hear? They're just making an entrance. Okay. You guys were talking shit. Yeah. Someone will grab the couch, and someone's going to sit at the chair on the edge. And what's going to happen is we don't have a mic, and we're not doing all that mishigas. So just we're going to yell, and I'll repeat it into the microphone, but we're going to be orderly. And you know what I'm like with callers, so this is real shit. Can people still see? Can people? Can security escort this gentleman out? It's actually in my book. We're dealing with it. Okay, first question, please. Anybody have something? Yes, you, sir. I think that the question is, in addition to coverage of Brazil and the UK, where else globally do we need to focus on more? I'm working and I'm undertaking this process now. I want to do a lot more coverage of Haiti. I think it's very important, particularly that those of us in North America are cognizant of our neighborhood and that history. And also India and Pakistan, and we'll continue on Rojava. And yeah, I mean, does anybody else have anything to add? Any other regions that you'd like us to hit? I'm really glad we did. If you haven't listened to the latest episode, Bill Fletcher Jr. and I went deep on Zimbabwe and the Sudan.
Well, there's a social democrat in power in Mexico.
Oh, well,
I think
yeah.
That's an incredible thing.
We've definitely been covering AMLO, and we'll continue to cover AMLO for sure. Any other? Next question. Yes. Wait. Well, I'll point you. I'll see you. Yes.
Another 9/11?
You know, I still did want to actually release this in a public forum. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
USA, 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 I feel like when you did that, I feel like I'm gonna be like Bill Maher. Like, can we get him out of here? Okay.
Do I have to
All
kick this guy's ass?
No. Okay. So, wait. To answer your question.
Look, did anyone in this room not think it was a controlled demolition? I mean, we're all. We know who we are.
Okay, here's like, what I truly cannot believe is that attack still didn't wake the devils up. Yakub runs deep.
Now it's time for your Christopher Hitchens moment. Where you're like, no, you're wasting your time.
I think that I don't know, but I actually do, at least anecdotally, I do think, you know, there are doors that are meaningful to people. So I think Rojava is meaningful to a lot of people. They see. I hate you. Yeah, you're a fucking sellout. You're this fucking jack-off ruining the fucking Q&A period. So I think that that basically you need to. I think the best I could tell is that whether it's Rojava or Lula, that movements and personalities that are humanizing as a sort of entry point to the broader dynamics, at least for me, anecdotally, are the best way. Or on the flip, sometimes you just say, like, do you know what we have done, as an example, to Haiti? I could give you a history from what Trump is trying to do to people with temporary protective status back to actually one of the most fascinating and violent and innovative and disruptive stories in human history, which is the Haitian Revolution. So that's how I would go about it.
Okay, yes, you, the gentleman with no shoes. Do you have a question?
Yes, you, I see as a Jew who's allergic to lavender. By the way, wait. Sam, is everything going okay in here scent-wise? Okay. One, I look fucking amazing. Two, you could not pull it off, Cedar. Tracksuit at our next live show in LA on April 20th. Breaking news. That's our next live show. You. Actually, you have actually some contacts in Venezuela.
Shit, now I'm gonna get on a watch list already. I wasn't ready tonight. God.
I want you to answer it. My bottom line is that you oppose coups, period. You oppose coups. I also think, so there's a way in which actually it's like, keep it simple. Oppose coups.
No intervention.
Then I think, look, Venezuela is an important place to study. There's huge accomplishments of that government. And then conversely, there's huge failings. And I think people in general need to get a lot more comfortable with cognitive dissonance and complexity. And that being said, in this specific moment with what's happening now, that's not what to focus on, right? Like, what to focus on is to stop that intervention. More broadly, we could talk about the failings and the context and so on and so forth. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I would say that they were I think there was lots of macroeconomic failings of Venezuela that, in other words, it's not necessarily socialist to institute certain price controls if it's going to fuck up production. Like, I think other pink tide governments, like Bolivia, like
Bolivia is still the
Ecuador,
fastest growing economy in Latin America.
managed the balance a bit more. I think Venezuela had a lot of self-inflicted wounds, especially under Maduro with corruption and other stuff, but it's been compounded by a very bad opposition, and they don't really want a centrist democracy. Their opposition wants something very radically different, and there's a reason why, the country is split in thirds between a third of the people that want both sides to go away, a third that supports opposition, and a third that are hardcore loyalists with the government. So it's not really like a side has a huge democratic mandate, and the government has been saying that their line is they want a negotiated settlement. The other side is they want a complete
They want a
transition of
coup.
the
They
government.
want the U.S. government to give them, the financial assets in an entirely illegal coup-like fashion. Also, I mean, just to underline the point, I mean, under Obama, I would oppose this 100%. But this is, Elliot Abrams is the fucking point person on this policy. This guy's career is death squads, literally. Griscom, do you have something you want to add to it? I know you get very heated about Venezuela.
I mean, the situation in Venezuela.
Oh,
right now-
really? The situation's complicated?
Oh, give me a fucking break. What the fuck is this?
Venezuela is at a crossroads.
Yeah.
No,
is it at a crossroads?
Yeah, you got him, dude.
No, I mean, when you look at a country like Venezuela, there's a lot of questions, and it really matters about what is important to you politically, right? So, like, if you're like a straight up anti-imperialist, and that's the most important political position for you, right? There's no question. If you are like a communist or socialist who wants more of a socialist, Soviet-style system, right? Venezuela has not taken that route, right? What's happened in Venezuela is that there was an experiment with radical democracy, which happened early on under Chavez, which has had major issues with corruption as people because you don't have a very strong grassroots organization under Maduro, unfortunately.
Right.
And that has led to a lot of corruption, right? So when we're talking about Venezuela as like a socialist nation, right? There's a lot of questions as to what that is going to mean in the end. Now, what we're seeing right now is certainly a right-wing coup that's coming into Venezuela, and it's something that we need to absolutely oppose.
That's
but
the
we don't
bottom
need to
line
go to
takeaway at this moment.
Yeah, but we
Oppose,
don't need to
oppose,
go to a
oppose.
point where we can't talk seriously about the economic issues that are going on in Venezuela, because there were some serious macroeconomic issues. What's happened with the currency has been something that they've allowed themselves, unfortunately, to be exposed to American imperialism, right? Which is an exceptional, is an
They were
exceptional
trying
thing.
to run a revolution at the same time and allowed me, I understand why that triggered the gentleman to my side. But the reality is that the U.S. is their largest trading partner.
Yeah.
So pulling off that dynamic is very difficult.
Unfortunately, the United States has so much power and has been so against the Venezuelan regime that being able to find a balance for that society on a macro level has been very difficult, and that's why we're in the situation that we're in now.
Don't go above 14th Street.
I feel like he just went all Will
please,
Ferrell in
please.
Old School.
What?
I just feel like he went all Will Ferrell in Old School, where he's like, he's like so serious. Very well said. Very well said.
Oh, shit. I have our whole next segment planned out the next time you come on the show. It might get us a copy strike from fucking YouTube. Yes, there's a question right here in the front row. Please go ahead. Yes, Tits Town for the AOC Rashida Tlaib Ilhan Omar podcast. Yes, I think that's very legit. Right here to my right.
Hey, can you get on the line and just say who is your third pick for 2020? This is behind Bernie and Warren.
Sherrod Brown. Sherrod Brown. Who's your third pick behind Sanders and Warren?
I think we should tank for a better draft pick. So I don't know, maybe Trump?
Well, why not? Why not Tulsi fucking Gabbard? Mike Racine,
I'll go with Kamala then, just for the ethnic thing. Kamala or Tulsi. I mean, I'm just saying, or Bobby Jindal. What happened to him? He got canceled.
He was
Payush, my man.
He was last seen with a Mike Racine. If Trump drops out, who are you backing?
If Trump drops out, what?
Who are you backing? Or
Probably Mark Wahlberg.
Alona, who do you have your eyes on?
Whoever can stop 9/11.
He didn't even stop it in the Boston movie. He just got upset by it. Alona, who's your third? Presuming Bernie and Warren are your first two choices.
I don't have any choices in this one. I feel like I don't feel enthused or excited about anybody. So
Wow.
I don't know.
Look at Alona with the leopard. Like, I don't find myself enthused by any.
I'm over this. Just make the White House like a Magic Mike movie, and then I'm into it.
T, if Warren and well, first, I mean, who's your third choice?
John Cena, 2020.
Not bad.
I feel like
this really. Now I fucking get. Now I understand Bill Maher. Because he always does that to his. He's like, everybody thinks they're a comedian, okay? Yeah, fuck you, okay? It's because he's getting shouted at by his live
So it would
audience.
have to be after.
Are Warren and Sanders your first two choices?
I think I would. I think it had to be the resurrected corpse of Malcolm X. I think it's that exhume Malcolm
I
X.
would say I just would like to stipulate, and we only have time for two more questions, but I would just like to stipulate that if Malcolm X's corpse is revitalized, I would take a very strong look.
Just put it in a chair.
Yeah, I would be very receptive. I would like to hear some specifics on NAFTA, but that's something that I would take a very strong look at.
That's how pessimistic I am.
Okay, that sounds good. Matt Leck.
I think the best way to follow up a Malcolm X answer is the Indiana politician. I can't remember his first name. But
Booty guy. Buttigieg. Buttigieg. I love. It's so cool.
He wrote something in college that Bernie was good, I think. So.
Oh, okay. There you go. Maybe he actually moves up my list to number 3 then too. All right, David Griscom, your third choice.
Third choice.
It's like, as long as we're resurrecting people, how about Ho Chi goddamn Minh?
Let's bring back John Edwards. Good hair.
Yes.
Good hair.
Talks
about labor unions.
Yes.
Edwards.
All right.
That's Jacques Morel over there, by the way, my former HuffPost colleague, who is an incredible host,
I'm just going
journalist.
to repeat the question for the audio, but I'll throw it right to you. So the question is, basically, all these layoffs are happening, like Alona and I talked about earlier. Google and Facebook are evil predator companies, and great people are losing their jobs, and it's undermining our democracy. What do we do? Alona.
I'm supposed to solve this?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's scary because on one hand, we keep being told that like the jobs numbers are great, the economy is booming, and 1,000 journalists just lost their jobs. So it just looks like it's a really scary time to be a journalist when I think, journalism is incredibly important and we need it more than anything. So, yeah, I don't have the answer, right? Hire the amazing journalists who just got laid off, because I know a lot of them too, just like Jacques, and there's some incredible reporters who it really makes me question, like we said again, maybe we should fire the middle managers, actually. That's my solution.
Fire the middle managers.
Keep all these amazing reporters, people who were Pulitzer Prize winners, Pulitzer Prize finalists at HuffPost, at BuzzFeed got laid off, and how many shitty managers who've been failing upwards still have their jobs.
I would just add, as far as your personal choices go, and for real, like this is the no bullshit time where it's like, thank you guys for real. You do need to. I mean, I fund people on Patreon, right? And I don't have time to get to the content, but it's like you need to support people who do these things in all capacities. The third thing. On a policy level, these platforms need to be made public. They need to be made public. And there needs to be a version of a 21st century, like a consumer bill of rights for the tech age that would also have to do with like transparency. Like, well, wait, what is you lie about your data constantly. You change your algorithms. There's no oversight. You're destroying people's livelihoods, and there's zero accountability. That needs to be aggressively regulated. Guys,
sorry, hold on. We already have a Bill of Rights. It's a very incredible, powerful document. You just need it to be applied to people, and you need to hold people accountable.
I agree.
You don't need a new one. You don't need a new one.
Well, I mean, like more like the way you built like a Bill of Rights, like consumer protection laws in like the 60s and 70s and 80s. With new emerging things in the economy, you need to write rules that deal with them specifically. Like these things are unprecedented. We've never had Google and Facebook eliminating jobs of people who write online quizzes for fucking BuzzFeed. These are novel challenges.
You just regulate them. You have to start regulating.
I want to ask about the online quizzes.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was backstage, so I couldn't fully hear it. How much money was generated by the online quiz team?
300
because I was thinking, what if you just had like five online quiz dudes, cut the executives who have those huge NBA salaries, and between the 5 online quiz dudes, the eliminated executive salaries, you could just pay the reporters. Like, you know.
If you want to find out which chicken nugget you are, pay the person on Patreon or another platform to design your quizzes for you.
Wait, I got it.
I'll tell you for
tell
300 million.
people they're putting money towards building a wall to keep a bunch of immigrants out, and then you hire a bunch of reporters.
All right, guys. We have time for one more question, but don't worry. We're going to come out and say hi to everybody. So, sorry? I'm going to pass on that one. Well, wait, no, seriously, come to me after the show. I'll talk to you about it. All right, yes, right here.
How long should we give Bernie to declare until
I thought you were going to say to live.
I'll say, guys, I need to repeat the question. Go ahead.
we need to wait to give Bernie a chance to run before we throw our support in for war?
Until he says he's not running. USA. USA. Lula Livre. USA.
This is why we don't care about what's happening in other countries, because we just start chanting USA all the time.
That's how I express my care. We need to reclaim the brand. Guys, everybody up on this stage, I have so much appreciation for. Obviously, along with David Slavic, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, who's their great digital super producer. Forrest, who's filming the whole thing. Woo! He's amazing. Matt Leck he's my compadre. He's my friend. We do great work together. As soon as I got the concept for this, he's the first person I talked to because I knew I needed him. And David Griscom came through one of my best friends. One of my best friends, Luke Mayville, who's getting people Medicaid expansion in Idaho. And Luke and I met in Turkey in 2007, and we've been friends ever since. And last year he said, you should, I taught this kid at American University, and you should let him stop by. And I was like, sure. And then David showed himself to just be an indispensable, excellent broadcast talent. I appreciate your work. T, listen to Champagne Sharks. It's so fucking smart. It's so funny. And T is one of the best, most genuine, intelligent dudes you're gonna meet. Alona is an awesome powerhouse. I love every single piece of work we've done together, but it's so, the impetus I had behind, we were talking at a party once, I think for Josh Zepps or something like that. And I remember, this is another one. But I love it. There's like very media savvy people in these audiences. Like, oh, I know Josh Zepps. He tweeted something I didn't like in 2013. So, but I always remember, I always was like, because we did a few like HuffPost and stuff, but I was like, you know what? I think it would be really fun to do something that was more laid back with Alona, something that was still smart and fun and engaging, but something that would be, the show we do. And so it's awesome that you're a part of it. I appreciate it.
No, then you met me at a party and saw what I'm like after I have a drink.
I think you're like, yeah, it is. It's that people need to like fucking grow up. And I was like, I want her on the show. I like Alona's arcs of like, in the beginning, like, I think you're right, Michael, an alternative European mechanism would be sensible until like 30 minutes later. You know what it is people are fucking jerks. And I'm like, all right, let's get to the post game and talk about tripping. I love Alona, thank you so much. Mike Racine is fucking hilarious. Woo! To sit down with Mike Racine is one of the only new like pieces of cultural content that I like literally was like, oh, I'm actually voluntarily listening to this and sending it to people. I literally bother people like, you gotta listen to this cold open. It's fucking funny because they're making fun of Blue Apron, but it's The Godfather, and people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? But it's hysterical. Mike is a good stand-up dude and a hilarious guy. I'm so glad he's a part of it. Thank you, Mike. And Bhaskar Sunkara is another person that I'm just incredibly proud to call a friend. The combination of sincere, ethical commitment to the cause with a type of no bullshit, no drama savvy is exactly what we need and what we all should be aspiring towards. Bhaskar, thank you a million. And each and every one of you, I have family here. I have people who've mentored me, people who've helped me. I can't thank each and every one of them, but I do want to note that. I have people very close to me that I should acknowledge specifically, but each and every one of you make this possible. I have nothing but love and appreciation for all of you. Thank you.